Social media can be a lovely thing, but it can also be a very terrifying thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Our next guest has a very scary social media dating app story that literally blew my mind when she gave me a summary of it. But before all that, she is also a fashion stylist who actually styled me for the Girl Next Door photo shoot. Looked pretty awesome. I want to welcome to the Sus Podcast, Miss Ashley.
Hey.
How
Thanks
are
for having
you?
me on.
Great. No worries. Thanks for coming on.
Of course.
I know you have like a crazy story. You called me a couple days ago, and you're like, you have to hear what just happened to me.
Yes.
And I heard it out for just a little bit because I was like, damn, if this is like as good as she's saying it is, I need to save it for the podcast. So
Yeah, I haven't even heard it. So.
it's wild from what I
It's
know.
so wild,
But we don't want
yeah.
to get into that too soon.
Yeah.
So first off, like, have you always been like a fashion stylist? How did that start?
My first thing for fashion styling, I was actually a celebrity stylist intern in college.
Okay.
So it was like one of the top stylists here in LA, and I literally
Wow.
knew nothing about it. I saw it on the internet. I like show up at this woman's house. It's like one of like the A-list celebrity stylists, and like her entire house is full of clothing. It's like the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And she has like multiple interns, and like she bosses them around like crazy, like screaming at us all day, like just the most insane experience of my entire life. And like I got to go to some celebrity fittings, which is like really cool, and like just experience that whole like side of styling. Like there's a lot of things you don't know, like celebrities, like they're not dressing themselves. Like every single thing that they're like taking photos of, like every trip they go on, like it's strategically planned. Like we pack bags for celebrities and like give them like pictures of like what they should be wearing, like
Really?
literally like a guideline of like what to wear. So like before I went into this like job, like I had no idea of like what like went into styling, and like it's a lot of like busy work. Like you're running around all day, like the stylist is texting you like go to the showroom, like grab this thing, and like you're sending pictures, and it's just like chaotic.
Really?
So yeah.
You know what's crazy is I read, I mean, it's probably for a lot more celebrities, but Kim Kardashian like has people that are built her like size, and they try the clothes on for
sample
her.
models,
and they
Sample models?
Yeah.
And they'll do fittings, and like they'll
So,
literally
yeah.
pretend like it's Kim, see
So
how
Kim
it
doesn't even have to
fits.
try it on.
Yeah.
Like she'll literally just get pictures and be like, "Oh, that'll look good on me because that girl looks exactly like me."
Yeah.
Wait, so who's the biggest celebrity like that you got to kind of style for?
Okay, at the time we were styling like Fifth Harmony, which was
Really?
interesting because we were literally like kind of like rebranding their style. So we had like a poster board, and it was like photos of like bad looks that they did. And then we had another side, and it was like the looks that we wanted to accomplish with them. So it's really like that, you know, like you get a new client and you like see what they've been doing, what they've been wearing, and then you decide like what's our new like branding image for them.
So you guys basically made a mood board to trash
Yes.
their old looks.
Styling is not to trash their old looks, but like styling is all mood boards. Like when I
Yeah.
styled you, it's like I sent you the mood board. You
That's
know,
true.
you like get different inspiration, and you like figure out the whole story behind it. Like it's very creative, and like I really like when I worked with you, like it was so much fun. Just like
Yeah.
getting to like create a story with the outfit.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't seen those pictures, you can see them up on my gram at
Yes.
Brennan. They're wild. She really killed this look. I'm actually thinking of saving some of those pictures for the next single because they were so good.
Yeah, you should.
Good stuff on that. And did you go to school for styling, or was it just something that you've
No.
always been interested in since a kid? or what?
So I went to school for integrated marketing communication. So right now I'm doing like social media and PR. Like that's my real job. Styling is kind of like on the side for fun. But as a kid, like I didn't really like fashion that much. Like my first job was like retail at PacSun, and I was like, oh, like style is cool. Like I grew up in Georgia, so I was like, oh, like the California style is cool. But it was never like, oh, like I'm gonna study this, I'm gonna do
Yeah.
this. I'm like, oh, it's cool. It's like the only thing that I actually enjoy doing is like making outfits, that type of thing.
So, and now you're in social media PR. What is
Yeah.
that? Just like sending out stuff to
So-
people?
It's a lot of like influencer gifting. It's also lending to celebrities. So like we have a showroom here, and we have like all of our collection pieces in the showroom. And then stylists who are dressing celebrities or influencers for upcoming events, they come into the showroom, pull our pieces, the celebrities wear them, and then they return them from us. So it's like also something you don't know about styling, and like celebrities, like they're wearing pieces that are not theirs.
Damn,
Yeah.
so all
They're
these people out there
returning them.
flexing
Yeah.
stuff that ain't even theirs.
It's crazy what you like learn, you know, you just learn like the back end of things and it's just like wild. So.
Wow. So like that's crazy that like almost everything that you do revolves kind of around social media.
Yeah. So then my other side is like social media, like management. So I'm posting every day. I'm making Instagram stories. I'm making Instagram
For other
posts
brands.
for other brands.
Not
Yeah.
even for yourself, really.
No, not for myself, really.
Wow.
She's like, I haven't posted in 52 weeks.
I'm like, I don't have time for that.
Wait, so is there like decent money and being like the
Yeah.
marketing person for brands? Because I
Yeah.
hear that a lot from people, but I'm like, I should do that. Like I could blow up a page for
No,
someone.
seriously, like there is good money. If you work at a good company, like you stick with them, like they're gonna like basically pay you based on your performance.
Yeah.
So if you help them grow, like they're gonna pay you for that, and like they'll note it. Like, cause right now social media is such a like important way for marketing. Like that's what I learned about in my marketing classes was like how to market on social media. It's like the most amazing way right now.
So could you market yourself
Yeah,
on
why-
those social media platforms to grow your own account?
Like on the brand,
yeah.
yes, you definitely can.
So wait, why did you want to promote other brands rather than promoting yourself? Because you're a pretty girl. Why haven't you become a social media influencer yourself?
Because like I like the business side of things. I mean, yeah, if I market myself, like it's still like a business, but like for me it was like the inspiration with like the clothing, and like I am young, like I want to learn from another brand or for someone else, and then I can like use that for myself one day. Like I wanted the experience.
Interesting. Very interesting. You know
Yeah.
what else is interesting? We want to start a new segment on this podcast called Conspiracy Talk. And we're going to jump into a conspiracy that has us thinking. Okay, so I'm going to let Jake take this away because he brought this up to me. And this is absolutely mind-boggling, so I want everyone to hear it.
All right, so you know 23andMe, right?
Like the DNA thing.
Yes.
Okay, so if you
I
don't-
already know this conspiracy.
Oh, so
Okay.
she's already on top of things. All
Okay,
right,
so
share it then.
23andMe, if you don't know, is like it's a subscription kit thing that you order online. They send you like a con swab, you put it in your mouth, send it back, and they give DNA about your like ancestry, your past, and like your health in past generations. So pretty much the conspiracy with this is, let me give it a little breakdown. So the owner and the founder, her name is Anne. She founded it. Okay, her husband is Sergey Brin, which is the co-founder of Google. Okay, so in 2007. Google gave 3.9 million invested into 23andMe. So you just think about that. Is that a coincidence because his husband?
The husband was helping out his wife.
Okay. So think about that. Google, what does Google do? They just sell our information.
Collects data.
They collect our data. So
Yeah.
do you think 23andMe is secretly collecting our data, our DNA, who we are for, what do you guys think
For
they're going to be
cloning.
doing?
You
I
think
think
She
it's
said
for
it.
cloning.
She said it.
I literally like have told people about this conspiracy theory, but like I didn't find it online. I was just like, people are literally like swabbing their like DNA and sending it to the government. Like clearly, I think they're studying like the different like patterns of our DNA, like different like personality traits, whatever, and I think they're like using it to like form a new like society in the
But
future.
wait, if you're going to go that far, why not just use a normal flu shot that most people get vaccinated from
But
each year?
you don't get DNA from a flu shot.
Yeah.
But they're poking it into you and then they throw the needle
I mean,
into
yeah, but that's like way far fetched.
This
I mean,
is perfect for them.
yeah, okay. So listen to this. On the fine print on the website, it says 23andMe also engages in biobanking, a practice in which the company stores the physical genetic samples. The policy doesn't clearly explain the purpose of biobanking, but it explains that the company reserves the right to access and analyze your stored sample. So why are they storing it after they give us our results? They don't need to keep that anymore, realistically. So they're storing it for some type of purpose, whether it be like they're checking up our DNA so they can send us specific ads that our DNA we need, or they're going to clone us. They're going to hit you up in 35, 40 years when the world ends or is getting close to end or you're dying, and they're going to be like, hey, do you want to see yourself at 25 again? Do you
Yeah.
want to reverse your age? Here you go.
Well,
Give
I
me $1
guess
million.
This leads to the next question. If you could, go back, like you're already 60 years old. If you can go back to your 20-year-old self, would you do that? Everyone you know and knew is already dead or has really grown up. Would you really want to go back and just start solo?
Yeah.
I think it all depends where your life is. If you're homeless, I'm like, take me out now.
Yeah, it depends on how you're happy.
I guess.
Happiness is.
You'd have to take like your immediate family with you, like your wife at the time or your
Yeah, it'd
husband
be
at the time.
lonely.
Like it would be lonely.
Yeah,
to do
but
it
then you
yourself.
also have like your great grandkids that you can grow old with then.
I guess.
That's
Look,
true.
I guess the audience should decide. What would you guys do in this moment? Would you, buy yourself years of life again? Would you clone yourself if it costed $1 million? I don't know.
I have another theory though, like why they're like storing our DNA, because
it?
like the future of like our workforce is like robots, like, you know, like
Yeah.
robots are going to take over all the jobs. I think they're also studying our DNA so they can use these robots and like get more human features from the robots.
Like some damn stormtroopers.
Yeah, like literally
Clone
that's why
troopers.
they're
The clone
storing
trooper.
it. They're studying it so they can
Damn.
like make fake humans.
Or like AI humans, like the iRobot movie.
Yes.
Wow.
All the
that'd be crazy.
movies that like the media puts out, like they're all like just like doing a foreshadow. for the
Yo,
future.
that's what I've always said. I've always said,
Yes.
how do people like come up with these movie ideas? They're not just like thought in their brain when they're
No.
sleeping. I feel
like
like
Black Mirror and all of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Black Mirror is trippy because so many
so
things that
trippy.
happen in Black Mirror are happening in real
But I
life.
mean,
Yes.
even The Simpsons is getting like so many like
That's true.
things
There's always
true.
like an underlying story that's like real and
Yeah.
relatable.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so freaky.
What do you think about this whole, like, since you're very much into social media and stuff, what do you think about this whole censorship thing going on? They're censoring freedom of speech, I guess.
Yeah,
when it
I mean, on Instagram, like I've been getting like if you say something, they'll like flag it and won't let you send it on DMs. It'll come up
No
with like a
way.
yeah.
I've
it'll come
never
up.
experienced anything.
Oh yeah, it's especially
And, like,
now with this
especially
time,
if
it's
you post
crazy.
something about, like, if you post anything about COVID, a thing will pop up and it was like
The
if it's
little-
factual information or not.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen people like their
Ugh.
Instagram stories getting taken down because
Yeah.
it says it's not factual or something
I
like
think they're like, it's like obviously like for a good purpose, but like they're trying to like get away from like the fake news and like just sort through like what their company is letting out in the world. But
Yeah.
like, I think they're missing like all of like the real points.
Yeah.
Like the criminals, they shouldn't be having access to like all these followers.
Right. Things are crazy in this world right now. Like, I feel like we are in an episode of Black Mirror, like where the world is just slowly crumbling in front of our eyes.
Yes.
I mean, all we can do is sit and pray and hope, things get back to normal one of these days.
Seriously.
But look, okay, so I kind of want to get into this story.
Yeah, it's
So-
juicy.
So listen, you called me up and you told me a little bit. So I want you to just jump into it. How did this happen?
Yeah.
Social media dating apps are terrifying for a lot of people already. Because think about it, you're letting someone into your life that you don't even know. People are not even sometimes real. They're complete catfishes, or they try to steal your identity. I guess let's hear your story.
Seriously, and it's like, okay, we like entered a pandemic and like meeting people, you don't meet people anymore. And so like if you're single, like a lot of people have jumped on the app. Like I am normally not on an app ever.
Right.
But like now it's like, okay, like might as well try it. Like it'll be a fun like experience.
Out of boredom.
Out of boredom,
Of course.
literally. So I like decide to download Hinge, and I'm
Okay.
like on Hinge, like I haven't met up with anyone. I'm just like having conversations with a few people, and then this one guy pops up, and I'm like, oh my god, like he's super cute,
Oh, man.
like handsome, like he seems really cool, like he's like a male model, like
Ooh.
I don't know, he seemed really cool. And
Okay.
so we start messaging on the app, and we're just like having a good conversation right off the bat. And then he like asked for my number, I give him my number, and then he starts sending me like audio messages.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Like normally, I don't know, you just meet someone, you don't start sending audio messages.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
kind of weird.
What was he saying? Was it just like he was just responding to
We
your
were
text?
having like a deep conversation with the audio messages.
Okay. I've
it
done
was
that.
it was kind of crazy because like I just started talking to him, and then he's like asking me all these like deep questions, and then we're like audio messaging like long messages, and it's just bizarre to me because I'm like, we just started talking and I'm already having like a good conversation with him. Like I can already kind of tell his character in a way, like through the audio messages, through his responses. I'm like, okay, like he's cool, like we're getting along, like this is amazing.
Was
Like,
he saving each and every message?
No,
It wasn't. So each of the
It
audio
would
messages were deleting
disappear.
after 2 minutes.
It would disappear.
Okay. So that's at least not a warning sign. So what happened next?
So then we're like talking for a few days, and then we decide like, oh, like let's meet up. So we decide to go to dinner, and he like comes to my house, picks me up, and I'm like, oh wow, like he's just like very gentleman-like. He's like opening the door for me. Like, I mean, these are basic things that guys should be doing anyways, but like he was being very sweet to me. So we have dinner together. We're like having great conversations. Like the dinner's lasting like over 2 hours. So after the dinner ends, we like drive around in his car, and we're just continuing to talk. And he's like telling me all about his life. I'm telling him all about my life. It's just like very natural conversation between the two of us. And so then we're like, okay, let's go to like this bar, this hotel bar. So we like go to this hotel, and they're like, oh, like you can't like go to the bar unless you're like a guest of the hotel. So we're just like, okay, like whatever, like let's leave. So we like go back to his car and he's like, oh, like I wonder how much like a room is at the hotel. And I'm like, that's unnecessary. Like, why would we get a room to just go to the bar? Like, it's just so stupid. And he's like, like, let me just look into it. So we looked into it, and he's like, oh, like, let's just, like, get a room. We can get the room. We can continue to talk because it was, like, COVID. Like, we couldn't really, like, be anywhere, and, like, I wasn't, whatever. So he, like, offers to get the room, and he's like, you know what, like, if you want to do this, like, let's do it. Like, I just like experiencing things. Like, I like doing things like this that are spontaneous, and, like, I just like enjoying life, living in the moment. Like, I think this would be fun. He's like, there's no pressure. And I'm like, I mean, obviously there's pressure if a guy is, like, offering a hotel room.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, our conversation has been so good. He hasn't tried anything. We have not even, like, done anything at all. So I'm like, okay, like, if you get this room, like, I'm gonna leave later. Like, we'll just have it for now. Like, it'll be fine. And he's like, okay, it's fine. Like, you can literally, like, leave whenever. Like, you can invite your friends if you want to the hotel room. Like, it's chill. So I'm like, okay, like, I'm just literally, like, hanging out with my friend, whatever. So he's, like, claiming, like, the money is not an option, like, an issue for me. Like, this is something I do, like, every day. So I'm just like, okay, fine. Like, if you're gonna throw the money out, like, why not?
Right. Enjoy your night, right?
Exactly. So we, like, go hang out. We're just, like, talking, like, all night. Like, nothing's happening. We're just having, like, a natural conversation. And it was just, like, very natural. And I felt like he was, like, my friend. Like, we had known each other for, like, years. And it was just, like, a night that you would have with, like, someone that was really close to you. And it was just, like, very, like, we were having, like, intimate conversations about, like, our family, like, our life, like, all these things. But he was going into detail about, like, all the stories that happened to him. And I was just, like, I was going into detail too, but, like, not to the extent he was.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, like, he's really sharing a lot with me, like, to a stranger.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, like, whatever, like, this is his thing. So after that happens, the next day we're hanging out still. And
Wait, so you stayed the night?
yeah, I did. But it was literally just talking. Like, nothing happened.
Okay.
Okay. So then the next day, he's like, oh, like, we can go to the pool, like, invite your sister. Like, bring her here. So, like, I invited my sister to come to the pool with us. She met him. We hung out at the pool with him. We ended up getting dinner with him.
And all this time, like, you're not, like, your sister didn't get any weird vibes. You didn't get any, you were, like, just totally cool?
So I was cool, and I was like, I want my sister's opinion.
Yeah.
Because this guy seems, like, super sweet, super caring.
Like the perfect guy, right?
The perfect guy.
Okay.
Like, there was no red flags. Like, I mean, except for his, like, oversharing, I was like, there's no other red flags.
Yeah. Wait, and then what do you do, like, for a living? You're just a model?
So he's a model, but he also is a reality TV star.
Oh.
Just a great side note.
Is
Reality
he on,
TV
like, a
star.
big TV show?
He was on Love Island.
Oh.
Love Island season 1.
So he was looking for love, for sure.
He
Still
was looking for love. Still looking. Clearly, it didn't work out on the show. Like, and you know, my sister, before I went on the date with him, my sister was like, "I'm gonna watch the show to see what he's like on it."
Yeah.
And she goes to me like, "Ashley, like, you might actually like him. Like, he seems like a sweetheart." He was only a few episodes, whatever, but she literally told me, like, he seems like a sweetheart, give him a chance, like, go meet up with him. So that's why I was super, like, excited when she was gonna meet him. I was like, okay, like, great, like, I can get her input. And we, like, go to dinner, and my sister starts, like, drilling him with questions. Like, just asking him the most bizarre things. And in the moment, I'm like, girl, like, calm down. Like, we just met this guy. Like, let's, whatever. And it was just very uncomfortable. Like, the dinner didn't flow naturally. It was, like, you know when you, like, introduce your family member to someone, you want it to be, like, just natural and fun and, like, whatever. It just wasn't working out like that. So I was, like, super upset after that, but I was like, whatever, like, she just met him. Like, of course she's going to be protective. I'm her younger sister. Like, whatever. I'm just going to continue talking to him. So we continue talking. Like, we're like, calling each other a lot. Like, we're just, like, keeping it casual, but, like, obviously we had, like, an intense moment together. And, like, after something like that happens, it's just, like, whoa. Like, where do we even, like, continue from this? So, I, like, go see one of my friends, and he's, like, talking to me, and, like, then the red flags start coming to me, but I didn't see them in the moment.
Okay.
So he's telling me, like, he told me when I hung out with him, like, all of the stories on his exes.
Okay.
All his exes are crazy girls. Like, they did all this to him and like whatever, like he's like very innocent and he's like the good guy, like that's his thing, he's the good guy. And so he like tells me like I'm super upset, like something crazy just happened to me, and I'm like what happened? And he's like, one of my exes like stole my credit card and like spent over $5,000 on my card, and like I'm canceling all my cards, like I don't know what to do, like I'm super upset, like I can't believe this happened to me. Like he told me that, and I was just like, oh, like you were being serious when you're talking about your exes. And he was just like, yeah, like I'm dealing with a lot, like super stressed out. And I was like, okay. So then he keeps telling me, he's like asking me all the time, like what do I like for gifts? He's like, what's your favorite designer? Like what do you like to be gifted? Like my love language is gifts. And I'm just like, okay, like we just met. We've literally hung out like a few times. Like this is like unnecessary. And so I'm like, okay, like what? But he never gave me gifts. He literally just like said all of that.
Sounds like the perfect guy.
Yeah, he wanted to get you gifts.
I mean, I was just like, okay, like.
So where did this all start going wrong?
So I introduced him to another one of my friends.
Okay.
We like hung out with my friend and her boyfriend like all day. Like it was a really great day. Then we're driving home. It's super late at night, and he gets pulled over. I think he's like falling asleep at the wheel. Like I'm literally asleep, so like I don't even know. He's like falling asleep at the wheel, and so he gets pulled over, and the cops are like come out of the car. Like we just want to ask you a few questions and like do a few tests on you. So they're like asking him like, is this your car? Which, side note, it wasn't his car. So when I met him, he had a Tesla, and he told me like, this is my Tesla, whatever, like, and then a few like weeks later, he was like, my Tesla has to go in the shop. Like, it's just like having some service issues. And I'm like, okay. Anyways, he never had the Tesla back. So clearly the Tesla wasn't his. I think it was just on lease.
Got it.
But since he's a male model, brands lend to him. So he literally gets lended cars for like 2 weeks for him to take photos in. And then he gives the car back for free. So it's in one of the lended cars. He's driving one of the lended cars, and he gets pulled over in it. And they're like, oh, is this like a rental car? And he's like going off. He's like, well, actually, like I'm doing like a collaboration with this brand. And like, you know, you're talking to a cop. You're just like, no, it's a rental. But he's like kind of like talking them up. And they're like, what? And then he like puts his hands in his pockets, and they're like, oh, like, can you please like take your hands out of your pockets? And he's like, well, you know, like why people put their hands in their pockets is because like they're uncomfortable. It's just like a tactic people do when they're like uncomfortable. And he's just like saying all these weird things to them. And I'm just like in the car, I'm like hearing it. I'm like, just stop talking. Like, let's just like leave. Let's just like get this over with and leave.
Let's get your ticket and let's go.
Let's go. He didn't get a ticket. He didn't get anything. So he was playing his like good boy act to these cops, and as soon as he gets in the car, he's like super happy. He's like literally like thriving. He's like, oh my God. He's like screaming. He's like, that's the most exciting thing I've done in months. Like that was crazy. Like he just like kept on going over the story to me, and I was like, you're just getting off from like getting away from the cops. Like what? Like who gets joy from that?
Right.
So
I mean, I would be pretty happy if I got the cops too.
But like the most exciting thing you've done in months.
I mean, it's COVID. Not much has happened.
Okay, well, it was just really weird to me. I was like, oh God, he's like really excited by this.
Yeah.
So another red flag comes. He rents another car for a weekend. It's like a G-Wagon, and it's like one of his friends, and he like picks me up in the car, whatever, and I'm like, where is this coming from? Because A, he's not working. Like he has no jobs, and he's always like doing these extravagant things, and I'm just like, where is the money coming from? Like I would never ask him that, but I was just like so confused by it. And so he returns the G-Wagon after he had it for the weekend. And after that happened, someone was banging on his door. They're like banging on his door, like screaming at him, like open up. And
At his place?
At his place when I'm over. And I'm like, what? Like, who is that? And he's like, I don't know who that is. Like, I'm not going to answer it. Like, I'm not going to. And I'm like, I'm going to answer it. Like, you open the door up. And he's like, no, like, I don't know who it is. Like, it's one of your ex-girlfriends. Like, look out the door and, like, see who it is. And he's like, I'm just, like, not going to answer. And then his phone is continuously ringing. And I'm like, answer your phone. And he's like, like, I don't know. He finally, the knocking stops. He answers the phone. And it's this girl, like, the car owner that he rented from, she's screaming at him, like, you stole my car keys. Like, where are my car keys? Like, where's my money? Like, you've stolen from some of my friends before. I'm, like, in the other room, but I can hear it a little bit. And I'm just like, and he's like, what are you talking about? Like, I returned your car, I returned your keys. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he's just like, And she's screaming, and he's just like, okay, like, we'll handle this tomorrow. End of that, and I'm thinking, like, why would he steal car keys? Why would he not steal the car? It just makes no sense at all. So the next day, I'm, like, hanging out with him, and some car keys fall out of his pocket. And they're the car keys that he stole from. And I'm like, why are these car keys, like, why do you have them? And he's like, oh my God, like, I don't know how, like, I have them. Like, it's just so, I don't know. And I'm like, you know why you have them. Like, admit it to me. And he was like, no, like, he's, like, super frantic. I have to go. So he like, left. And I was just like, that's crazy. Like, the fact that someone's banging on his door, and, like, also he has, like, the window by his door, it's, like, broken in. So, like, clearly he's, like, had other people, like, try to break in. It's not his first rodeo. We were, like, exclusive, but, like, I was, like, we were hanging out every day. Like, I had no idea that he could be seeing someone else. So, like, that wasn't a worry of mine. I was, like, I literally am at the guy's house, like, every day. Like, but then he would ghost me on the weekends, which is weird.
So maybe he was, like, living a whole other little life.
But this is what he told me. He's, like, on the weekends, like, he was super depressed. And, like, he would be, like, so, like, upset. Like, he wouldn't be able to, like, get out of his bed. And he would, like, try to make me feel bad for him. And he was just, like, I've been going through all this, like, talking about his family and, like, all the things in his life that were going wrong. And I was just, like, I felt bad for him. Because he was, like, he didn't have work. And I was literally, like, trying to motivate him for work and, like, trying to help him. He didn't have friends. He has no friends in his life. He has no relationships in his life. Like, it's literally just him. Which, you know, that's also a red flag, honestly. So I, like, felt bad for him because, like, I truly cared about him. Like, every single night we hung out, like, we were having, like, deep conversations about life. Like, it wasn't just, like, small talk. Like, it was, like, very intimate and very emotional. Like, I had seen him cry before. He had seen me cry before. Like,
Can I ask you, how long did this go on?
It started in September. It ended in December. So it
3
was
months.
fast.
Yeah.
Like, it moved fast. And, like, that was like, the thing. Like, from the start, it was, like, the first time we hung out, it was, like, whoa.
And you guys were, like, titled boyfriend and girlfriend or not?
No, never. Never.
Okay.
So, okay, then he ended up giving me, like, my first gift. It was, like, these, like, Gucci slides. And I was like, okay, like, this is nice, but they were used. There was literally, like, dirt on them. And he was like, oh, I got them from GOAT, like, the resale site. And I was like, I knew it wasn't true, but I wasn't going to be, like, accusing him of giving me, like, a gift that was already used for, I think it was, like, his exes or something like that. But he gave me that gift, and I was just like, okay, weird. Then this is, like, when it all started.
Okay.
So, basically, I was, like, gone for the weekend. I didn't have access to my bank account. And I was locked out, and I was, like, out of town. I was like, oh, whatever, I'll figure it out when I get back. So, I get back into town. I get back into my bank account, and literally I have all these charges on my credit card. And they're, like, Postmates, Instacart, like, DoorDash, like, all these places that I know he shops at. He's constantly getting food delivered to him. Like, he's never leaving his house. Like, he's always just there, like, getting all this food. And, like, another red flag was, like, he would order us food, but it would be, like, under someone else's name. And I was just, like a woman's name. And I was just,
It wasn't your name?
It wasn't my name. I was just like, oh, it's weird. Like, that's just weird. And, okay, so I saw these charges, and I knew it was him because it was the restaurants he goes to. It was the places that he literally gets delivered every single day. And there was, like, up to, like, 12 charges within 10 days.
Wow.
And they were, like, expensive amounts. Like, it's just crazy. And so as soon as I saw it, like, I knew it was him, so I, like, decided to call him.
Oh, my God, okay.
And side note, he had actually given me his old phone. So I was thinking, like, our payments got swapped. Like, that's what happened. Like, it was an accident. So I call him, I tell him about it, and he's like, oh, like, that wasn't me. Like, that wasn't me. Like, I don't really know what you're talking about, but, like, you should file a bank claim. So I'm like, I know it's you, but I'm just like, okay, like, I'm going to file a bank claim. I file a bank claim, and then I decide to, like, look into the charges. And, like, this one night, I go to his house. He, like, surprised me with dinner one time. And I was like, oh, it's so sweet, like, whatever. But it was the same day on my bank account, or my bank statement, like, the same day that I was over there, like, the same amount when he used the charge on Postmates. So I call my friends, and I'm like, I knew it was him, and she was like, what did you guys order that night? So we like go to the menu, and like it's the same amount of the night. And
So you took yourself out to dinner.
I literally took myself out to dinner, and he was always like making me like food, but like I was paying for it all.
Wow.
It's really insane. And so like I confront him again, and he's just like, I don't know what you're talking about, like just trying to make me feel bad for him. I don't even know. He's like literally gaslighting me. And he's just like, Ashley, like that wasn't me. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, but I'm basically, like, on the phone with him. Like, I'm breaking up with him because I'm like, I know it's you. Like, I have no idea what you've done to me. Like, you could have done, like, a lot of other things to me, and I have no idea who you are. Like, I'm over it. And he's, like, not even upset, like, that we're never going to see each other again. He's literally just, like, if you need help getting through this, like, you can always, like, I'll always be there for you. And just, like, I'm like, I don't need
trying
help.
to manipulate you there.
Trying to manipulate me, and I'm just, like, I literally don't need help. Like, you're the one who needs help. Like,
How do you even think he got your, like, how do someone just steal your credit card?
he literally took it out of my bag and put it in his phone right away.
Damn.
Wow, like in the Apple Wallet.
Yeah, like something like that. But he literally just used it for food, which is the weirdest
That's
thing.
so weird.
It's like, why are you pretending to be this male model who's a rich influencer? Like, online, he's like, oh, like, I live this extravagant lifestyle, and, like, I'm doing all these amazing things. But, like, you literally are stealing people's credit cards to pay for food. It's really crazy. And so I go to his place, I confront him. My sister actually comes with me because she's like, you're not going alone. Like, I don't want you over there alone. So I, like, pull up, and I'm, like, talking to him. My sister pulls up. She starts screaming at him, like, on top of her lungs, like, making a scene. And I'm just like, let me handle this. So I'm talking to him, and I'm, like, trying to get him to admit to something. And he's like, I have nothing to admit to. Like, I didn't do anything. He's, like, barely giving me any reaction. And then I'm like, okay, like, get me your phone. And he was like, sure, like, look through my phone, like, there's nothing to hide there. And so, like, I looked through his, like, photos thinking, like, oh, he's just, like, he took a photo of my card when it happened. Like, I looked back on the day. It wasn't there. I looked through his recently deleted. It wasn't there. But then I pull up his, like, auto pay on his Safari, which you can just, like, manually put in people's cards, and it'll always be there. And you just have to know they're, like,
the last
three digits or something. So my card was on there.
Oh, shoot. You
And
saw it there.
I literally saw it in front of his eyes, and I was like, this is the proof, like, give me my money. And he was like, I don't know how that got there.
Oh, my
I still denying it.
I literally don't know how that got there. And I was like, this is literally the proof that I need. And he had like 5 other cards uploaded, but they were under his name, which it's just weird because, like, he's constantly canceling his credit cards and constantly, like, changing his phone number. He's always, like, doing these things because he knows, like, so many people are out to get him.
How do you know so many people are out to get him?
Because after that situation happened, he refused to give me money. He actually only
How much money
admitted-
did he rack up?
He
in
racked up
charges?
$950
$950.
Wow.
in 10 days.
Wow.
So,
That's messed up.
it's just
all
on
off of a
food.
Hinge
All on
match.
food. Yeah.
Wow.
So as soon as, like, I left, like, I tried to get him to, like, admit it to me, but he literally wouldn't. So the only thing he admitted was, like, the one dinner, because I had proof on his Postmates. He's like, that's all the proof that you have. Like, I'm only going to send you, like, $40. And I was like, seriously? So then I go home, and I start, like, me and my sister start DMing girls that he's probably talking to because they're commenting on his photos.
Oh, no.
So
you guys went full FBI.
Yes, you have to go full FBI because, like, he's doing this to other people and he's getting away with it. It's just, like, it's so crazy that, like, people don't get caught for this type of stuff because it's so under the radar. So we, like, hit up this one girl, and she's like, oh, my God, like, let's FaceTime right now. So we FaceTime. She's telling me, like, she's telling me everything that I experienced, like, how he acts, like, how he's such a good guy and sweet and caring and, like, emotional, like, all the things that I experienced. And she was like, we just exchanged gifts. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what did he get you? He got her, like, a Louis Vuitton backpack, some Yeezys, like, some lipstick, whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Like, just thinking, like, oh, like, he got me these slides, but they were, like, dirty. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, and she's like, oh my God, like, we have to warn other girls. Like, I'm canceling all my credit cards. Like, he literally has been, like, acting like him and I were, like, gonna have this future together. Like, I was the only one he was seeing. And I was like, okay, like, we'll like, meet up when I'm back in LA. Like, we're gonna meet up and, like, talk about this. So she ends up hitting up other girls that he is, like, messaging also. And they're all saying the same thing, like, I've been having a relationship with him. Like, I do have the screenshots. But I realized, I'm like, Thanksgiving, I let him borrow my car because he didn't have a car to go see his family, and he like made me like feel bad for him because it was like a holiday, and I was like, you should go home, see your family. I let him borrow my car. And so she was like, oh, like, yeah, he got me like the Yeezy sneakers. And I was like thinking to myself, like, oh, like I had sneakers in the back of my car, but like I don't wear them. Like maybe they're there. I don't really know. I'm at home at this point. Like I don't know what's in my car.
Yeah.
So I hit her up and I text her like a picture of my shoes, and I was like, are these the shoes? And she's like, yes. Like, oh my God. He stole shoes out of my car and gave it to the other girl. And that's what he does. He literally gifts girls items that he's stolen from other girls in order to gain their trust. In order for them to like open up, and like he's sharing all these emotional details of his life. Like he gets us to gain like his full trust, and then he steals from you.
Wow.
And he's done this with multiple people. And you know his target is young Asian girls in LA. Early 20s. Every single girl, 5 girls we hit up, all young Asian girls, early 20s.
So wouldn't you
There's
want
more
to
to
help
the
the other
story.
girls out there? Okay, there's more to the story.
That's why I hit the girls up, because I wanted to warn them. But he's doing this to innocent people, like literally not even the girls that he's talking to, like random people he meets. So, okay, I hit up my friend who hits up the girl from Love Island, and this is what she says to me.
This is actually so alarming because I had another girl DM me something like literally very similar to what you just said a few months ago. And I was like, what? And now you're saying it. So I'm like, whoa, that's crazy.
So other people have been after him.
What?
Reaching out to Love Island people because that's what they knew he was connected to.
Oh my God.
And I end up talking to her, and she's just like, oh, like someone else like hit me up about this. Like he is crazy. Like I'm confirming he's crazy. And then
he's like a pathological liar and a sociopath in a way.
Yeah. So then she sends me the screenshot. Someone sent it to her. Hello, my name is Robert. I'm reaching out to see if you could be of assistance. You see, I can't get a hold of blank. Seeing that you know him via Love Island, I was wondering if you could get contact with him. You see, I'm looking to avoid legal action at all costs. Stop.
Wait, let's see who's on. Let's see the cast names. We're getting it out.
No, okay.
You said it,
Blank
not me.
came to my previous place of employment. When payment was required, Blank let me know that he forgot his wallet at home. He then asked if I could send him funds from his PayPal account. My employer didn't accept PayPal, so he actually asked if he could send it to me directly. I was happy to help him. He later called PayPal and stated that it was a fraudulent charge. PayPal then took the money from my personal account and sent it back to Blank. In the beginning, Blank was responsive and said that he was attempting to figure things out. When I contacted PayPal, they stated that they've never been contacted by Blank. It's been 6 months of non-payment and avoidance. I've tried to express my findings, but sadly, he has decided to avoid me. This has been very hard for me to save the money that he stole from me. All I want is my money back. I know you don't owe me or owe me anything. All I ask is that you help me get Blank to do what's right. Thank you. He also told me this crazy story, another crazy story about how one of his friends came over to his house, stayed the night with him. He and his friend ended up getting drunk or whatever, but he accused Blank of stealing his Rolex watch.
Oh man, so this guy's stealing from everyone.
From everyone. So the cops come, they're like searching the place, like, oh, like, he stole from me. He stole from me.
We're not even saying that.
And so he tells me the story, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, that's crazy. Like, why would your friend accuse you of stealing his watch?
Yeah.
And I think back, another red flag, like, I didn't think of it at the time, but like, a week later, he was like, oh, like, I have this watch, like, I'm going downtown to see how much I can get it for. And at the time, I didn't think about it. I was just like, oh, he had like a box of Rolexes in his room, and I was like, okay. So then I hit up his friend, and I was like, hey, I have a question for you. Do you know this guy? Like, I think he stole your watch. And he's like, I know him. He's a thief. You're not the only person who said that to me.
Oh my
So
God.
other people, and I was like, do you mind asking me? And he's like, the guy, he ended up posting a photo wearing the Rolex, like the stolen Rolex on his Instagram. And the guy was DMing him like, dude, like, that's my watch. Like, give it back to me. He just never contacted him again.
Wow.
But how does he keep getting away?
He gets
with
away
this?
with it because I think the people that he is like robbing, like, they're kind of well off, so they don't really care. They just move on with their life. Maybe they'll file a police claim, maybe they won't, but like they'll just like move on from it because it's traumatic. and then he just does it again, and
Wow.
yeah.
That is insane. That's insane to me that this guy has been getting away with it for this long
Getting away
and
with it.
stealing
He's 30
like
years old.
the things that he's stealing aren't just like, you know, cheap things either. Rolexes are $10,000 plus. That's like a felony actually
Yeah.
because it's
Definitely.
that much money.
Yeah, and I tried to file a police report.
And what happened?
They weren't accepting it.
What do you mean they weren't accepting it?
I was like trying to go into the office, and they're like, you have to do it online, and then like, cause there was like a suspect in mind, like I couldn't do it online, but they weren't letting me do it in person, and it was just like, that's why he got away with it, because like things like this are happening every day, and we don't know about them, but like they're not getting caught by them because they're so minimal compared to what's actually going on in the world.
Yeah.
And that's why people can steal from people. They can do credit card fraud all the time and get away with it.
Yeah, it's like you have to jump through so many hoops.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
all the hoops, and
Yeah.
you know, like
that
people
it's
don't
almost
want
not
to do the
even
hoops.
worth
Yeah,
it
it's
anymore.
It's not even worth it. It's like I already wasted my time on him. Like
I remember our story that happened to us. We tried to do the right thing.
Oh man, I don't even want to get into
I know.
this.
It's happened to us. We tried to do the right thing and call the police about something.
They don't care.
And then they did care.
They did
but it
care
ended
about
up
our
us like we had to go to court and do all
sit in
that
front of
stuff,
trial in
and we
front of a
couldn't
guy
get
who
out of
tried
it.
to
Yeah.
murder us.
Yeah, we couldn't get out of it. We're like, we don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Drop it. We don't care anymore. And they're
Yeah.
like, well, you already called us, so now you have to finish
it's really
it through.
complicated.
We're like, Jesus.
Yeah, man. Oh my god, that must be terrifying. So, would you ever like go on one of these dating apps again, or are you
I would
done?
never. I would never.
You think it scarred you?
It scarred you for life.
I think dating in LA is already like so like you never know what you're gonna get with people out here. Like it's crazy. And it's just like now going on an app, like clearly they're looking for something. Maybe they're looking for like a relationship, but maybe they're just looking for something else, you know?
And you never really know what people's true intentions
You
are.
never know. And like even people you see on TV or you see like that are like notable public figures, like you really don't know who they are.
Have you talked to this guy or had any contact with him since?
I've tried to contacting him, like just give me my money. Like just simply give me my money that you owe me. Like clearly you took it from me and just hasn't responded to me.
Wow.
So
That is insane. I have nothing to say. Like that. Like the fact that he just is getting away with this, and you
Yeah.
don't really want to like say his name and like.
and it's just like he
public.
was planning on going on a few more reality TV shows. Like he was literally gonna play like a good guy in like this upcoming show on HBO Max. And I'm just like, if he ends up going on that show and plays this character, it's like hopefully other people will come out, you know, like their story. But it's like he shouldn't have this access. He wants the fame. He wants all of it for the wrong reasons, and like he will like gain control if like people continue to like follow him and that type
Yeah.
of thing. But like
Honestly, people in LA are just crazy to begin with,
Yeah.
but that's a whole other level. That makes me think twice about even wanting to ever be on an app like that, just because like you really never know people's true intentions. My thought process on any of these social media apps is like, one day if I ever got on, I go meet up with someone, I walk into a room. My fear is like they're gonna rob me or beat
Yeah.
me, like have a room
Yeah,
full
yeah.
of thugs that just beat me. That's my fear. But yours is like that's messed up.
I don't want other people getting involved in him falling for his bullshit, because like it's easy to fall for. Like all the girls that I talk to, like we're all smart girls. Like we know what's going on, but also I just like want people to be more aware. Like I'm going to learn from it. Like I'm going to be more aware of like who I'm meeting up with and like who they actually are. Like trusting your intuition is seriously everything.
Let me ask you then, did you have any sort of like real inclination early on that maybe, you know, this guy's feeding you a bunch of
For me, like he seemed genuine, but he was an overall fake person.
Yeah.
You know, like he seemed like a character to me, but like the conversations we were having, like they seemed genuine to me. But like also like how he could react to things, like it was seems like somewhat scripted. He told me too, like when he was like on the show for Love Island, like they actually have like a lot of psychologists come in and like interview you and like ask you a bunch of questions to make sure you're like mentally okay before the show. And he was like, yeah, the psychologist literally like asked me like, did I receive the questions beforehand, because I was answering like I knew exactly what to say. And like that's what he knows. He was always saying like, I know how to talk to people. Like I'm such a good people person. Like I know exactly what to say, like how to like make the room exactly like people comfortable, like all that type of thing.
Dang. And he proved that.
Wow.
Man, wow. Well, look, I appreciate you coming and telling your story.
Yeah.
That must be terrifying, and that's a good warning to anyone out there who is on, these dating apps. I'm not going to tell you not to go find love wherever you may find it, but be careful when you're doing it because not everyone is truly who they say they are.
Yeah, and you can't find love on an island.
You can't find love on an island
Definitely.
or social media. I
Or
don't
in
know.
California.
Or in LA. You just can't.
Just stop. If you're here, just stop trying. at
Just
this
wear a
point.
mask and stay home at this point.
Yeah, like do not interact with humans.
Wow, listen, Ashley, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I hope this brings strength to other people that are going through the same situation with the same guy and maybe want to speak out and finally get this guy locked up because what he's
Get
doing
him
is
locked up,
not
honestly.
right. So we'll see what the future holds. But until then, Ashley, thank you for coming on the Sus podcast. Where can the people find you if they don't know you right now?
You can follow me, Ashley Capote, on Instagram.
Check
Yeah.
her out. She's got
Check
her
me out.
stylist PR life going. If you want to check her out, do that. Make sure you check out the Share Your Scare YouTube channel. Go and subscribe to that. We're almost at 100,000 subscribers. So make sure you go and do that. And until next time, thank you for listening to Share Your Scare. We'll see you later.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to Sus, Share Your Scare. Make sure to subscribe and check back every Wednesday for new episodes, and don't forget to tell your friends. Follow all of our social media links at shareyourscare.com. We're going to be doing tons of giveaways, but only for our most active fans. If you have a scare of your own that you want to share, leave us a voicemail. Our number is 626-275-8695. Or if you just want to shoot us an email, our email is shareyourscarepod@gmail.com, and that's spelled with a U-R. Until next Wednesday, stay sus.